Hello everybody, it's your friendly digital technology librarian, Christy here. We've reached another Friday, so of course I have another Film Rec Friday ready for everybody out there. Anyway, we have reached the end of the month, so that means we've also reached the end of our animated April series. My big goal this month was to share just how broad our catalog is. You know, there are animated films and series out there for everybody, regardless of demographic, regardless of genre. Really, truly, within the animation type of media, you could find something no matter what your interests were. And that was what I was hoping it to express over the last couple of weeks. This final week, I have picked 3 anime series, that's animation from Japan, and these are going to be all available via our Kanopy and our Hoopla services, and I think these 3 titles will appeal to people even who are absolutely not interested in animation. 2 of the 3 titles are definitely geared towards adults, and then 1 is significantly more family-friendly, so just keep that in mind. As with all of my recommendations, these are all available to you entirely for free with the use of your Milan-Berlin library card. So without any further ado, let's get to the recs. Okay, my first recommendation is available via our Kanopy service, and that is 2014's Alice in Borderland OVA series. What is an OVA? It just stands for original video animation. So rather than short episodes, this is actually like 3 full-length feature films that tell one cohesive storyline. In any case, you might actually already be familiar with the title and the base plot of Alice in Borderland. If you happen to have a subscription to Netflix, there is an excellent live-action adaptation on there of this. Definitely highly recommended if you happen to be interested. In any case, let's go ahead and do a quick summary of the series. In Alice in Borderland, we are following a very antisocial young man named Ryohei Arisu. He really hates being part of the world. He really just wants to be alone. He would like nothing better than never having to interact with anyone at all ever again. And so he makes a wish. In the sort of like realistic fantasy world that we're living in, that wish manages to transport him to kind of a parallel universe, Tokyo, called Borderland. And it is absolutely the most dangerous place he could possibly have landed. Because some things are vaguely familiar, because it is a parallel version of Tokyo, it's even harder for him because there's new danger behind every single corner. Nothing that was safe is safe now. He is facing against a ton of different, very violent scenarios. So this is one of the titles I was mentioning that is geared definitely towards adults. There's lots of violence and gore and just adult themes in general, but it is really, really solid. If you happen to be someone who enjoys the sort of concept of last man standing game type movies, this is certainly for you, because Ryohei and a lot of other unwilling individuals are forced to play in a series of games. The games get more and more dangerous the further you go along. It is crazy, but it's also incredibly exciting. So I'm thinking of people who happened to like, you know, the Battle Royale films, Hunger Game films, anybody who likes that dark post-apocalyptic vibe as well, sort of like Sweet Home or 12 Monkeys, or concepts of being trapped in a place that you can't get out of even. So like Wayward Pines. It's one of those series of films even that you get really pulled in very quickly because it is so odd and unusual and just really gripping in that regard. And again, if you happen to like violence and gore, this has got plenty of that. I will say that if you like the live action series, there's definitely some plot point divergences. So don't expect, you know, a complete retelling, which I actually think is really fun because then you're not just rehashing everything that's been the same. I do like when stories sort of make their own little world when it's from one media to the next. I have not personally read the manga. Even though I'm a huge manga fan, I've never gotten to check out Alice in Borderland. But I did really enjoy both the live action and anime as sort of separate entities. So would definitely recommend, even if you have seen one or the other. So yeah, if you happen to be interested in that sort of battle royale, super intense, action-y, violent, horror style story, make sure you check out the Alice in Borderland OVAs. It's only 3 of them. They're really, really solid and a very quick watch. Okay, my next recommendation is also available on Kanopy, and that is 2019's Vinland Saga Seasons 1 and 2. So in Vinland Saga, we are focusing on a young man named Thorfinn. We follow him from early childhood through adulthood, and he goes through a lot. So as a child, like many kids, he has a really limited viewpoint of the world. He knows his father and his father's peers were these fierce, violent warriors who were able to take over so many lands and did all of these great things. And his father, Thors, is retired and wants nothing more than to live a peaceful life because, of course, he's been through all of these things and realizes at a certain point that's just not the way to be. But of course, Thorfinn, he just sees like all of the glory and the esteem and the exaltation. Circumstances happen, and Thors and a number of Thors' peers and a number of other people who are also involved end up murdered by another band of Vikings. And Thorfinn ends up being raised and, trained by these murdering Vikings who wiped out essentially his family. Now, as time goes by, there are a lot of complicated relationship shifts within this sort of family that has been created, and that's sort of a big part of the whole storyline, this emotional and charged relationship between Thorfinn and the Viking who murdered his family, particularly his father. And Thorfinn's quest for revenge, but also his weird kind of loyalty to this murderer. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes. It's really quite political in a lot of ways because we're talking about an era where a lot of these warring tribes are trying to take over, what we know of as, Great Britain, and it's just very interesting. So if you are interested in royal intrigue and plotting and things like that, this has a ton of that, in addition to violence and gore and all of that too. It's really, really kind of cool how they layer all of that together. And it's actually quite a bit like several live action series that I'll get to in just a second. So this series is actually based on a manga by Makoto Yukimura. I'm a huge fan of the manga. It's ongoing, so I'm still following it. But this 2-season anime series does a really good job of sort of giving you a concise tale that does not feel unfinished. It is very much a complete story. So don't be concerned about that aspect of it. And you do have access to both seasons, so you get that complete story. So this is kind of perfect for people who loved, the Northman. There are so many things that will remind you of that. Now, I'm not saying that either story copies from another. Obviously, this came beforehand, but these are really common themes in this kind of lore to begin with, where one raises the other into its demise and stuff like that. But this is, if you think that, this kind of sounds like it has the Northman vibes, you're right. Definitely dark, definitely political, definitely a whole lot of relationship shifts. It's also great for people who liked the Vikings series in general. I was a big fan. A lot of that sort of violence and action and adventure on top of political intrigue, because that's throughout. And that's part of what makes it so interesting is you've got these very different elements going together, because there's one that's very plotted out and thoughtful, because a lot of times that political intrigue is slow moving. You've got to lay all of these plans before you make a move. Whereas, once you get into the battle sequences, it's bam, 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 action, 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 and doesn't stop. And the last thing that I was going to mention is if you happen to court intrigue, if you happen to be a Korean drama fan, if you liked say Kingdom, or even any of your standards, say Joseon era political drama series, this has really got a lot of similar elements. I know you've got two totally different settings, like your Viking war camps versus, Joseon era royalty, but there is a lot of that similarity, because a lot of times you'll have battles interspersed with that court feel. So yeah, definitely check this out if you like sort of period piece drama. So yeah, this one is one that I think is really great for people who aren't necessarily looking for like just blood, guts, and gore, violence, and all of that kind of madness. This is a really good one for people who like a mix and blend of styles and tones, and I think it's really, really good. It really is one of my favorite anime series, so highly, highly recommended. Okay, final recommendation for this week is available via our Hoopla service, and that is 1999 through present day's anime adaptation of One Piece. Now, One Piece is the title I was mentioning that is significantly more family friendly. This one gets a 11 plus but from Common Sense Media, so just keep that in mind. And it is the adaptation of Eiichiro Oda's manga series. This is one of the longest anime and manga series that I've followed. Both the manga and the anime are ongoing. As mentioned, this started in 1999 and it is still airing today. We are, I believe, in the 21st season. It is never going to end. But that said, it is ridiculously entertaining. I don't really get tired of it. And if I do, I stop watching for a bit and then I go back to it when I feel like refreshing myself with these storylines, because it is so much fun. That's the whole thing with One Piece. It is just a delightful, fun series, always a good time. And you get to know these characters and you really do grow attached to them. So, oh, the other thing I did want to mention, biggie. This is a dubbed version of the series. We have access to seasons 1 through 8 on Hoopla, and the dub cast, I am generally not a dubbed anime fan. I just never have been. But this cast is really, really solid. So if you are like me, you don't usually like dubs, this is one to try. If you happen to hate subtitles, this is definitely one to try. You don't have to worry about subs because of the dubbing. Anyway, back to the storyline. In this, we are following a young man named Monkey D. Luffy. He wants to be the king of the pirates, and he has this whole fantastic band of fellow sailors aboard his ship who go off on these wild, crazy adventures in order to track down this infamous treasure, One Piece. Now, along the way, you meet and love all of these characters. You have a very skilled swordsman on board. There's a navigation guru who also happens to be a thief. You have this phenomenal inventor who's also a bit of a pathological liar. You've got a warrior cook, a sentient deer. It's ridiculous. It really, really is. Additionally, Luffy also has this weird skill where he has like a rubberized body where he can stretch all of his limbs, similar to the character in Fantastic Four, or Elastigirl in The Incredibles, if that's more your vibe. But it just really is so ridiculous and wacky and zany, and it's so funny. In addition to being like a great adventure story. And it really is. I mean, it would have to be to keep so much attention on it for so many episodes. Again, 21 seasons. That's insane. And I'm excited to see everything. So who is this incredibly long running series for? I think that this is perfect for people who like the sillier side of pirate life. So if you enjoyed, say, the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and you really loved, say, Jack Sparrow and that sort of over-the-top ridiculousness, then this is an even better, I think, comp. If you liked A Muppet Treasure Island, and I know, hold on, before you turn away, the Muppets have always been kind of this wild and crazy band doing different things. So you have Muppet Movie, The Great Caper, Treasure Island. That's kind of the vibe you get. These people and characters, you start to know them and you love them, no matter how over the top and ludicrous they are. And you get that. That is 100% this band of pirates. And like I said, it's just so much fun. And this is one that you can definitely watch with younger viewers and enjoy together. Even as an adult, I continue to enjoy this series. It has now been with me for about 20 years. So I have grown up with the anime, and it's still delightful. I definitely appreciate different things today than I did when I was still a teenager, but it's really fun and I highly recommend it. Check out the first couple episodes. If you decide it's not for you, totally fair. But if you decide you like it, again, there's so much content out there. The manga is fantastic. I still follow the manga, even though I feel like it's, again, never going to end. And it's just been a delightful part of my life, honestly. Like I said, it's been over a couple of decades. That's insane. So yeah, if you do happen to like the silly side of pirating life and you want something that you can share with other people, I would say One Piece is a great one. It's fun, it's funny, and it is an ongoing delight. Okay, so that is it for this week. Those were my recommendations of anime series that may appeal to viewers of other kinds of media. If you have any recommendations that fall under that canopy, please, please, please recommend them down below. Always looking for fun anime to watch. If you have any recommendations for future themes that you'd like to see us cover, definitely share those. Always looking for help with that. Anyway, as always, thank you so, so much for joining me, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye-bye!